Good afternoon, everybody. I have to remake this video because the first one that I made, the camera was so close and I didn't check my frame after I started the video. So I've already deleted it, but some of you may have already seen the famous Headless Horseman video where my entire head for the entire video was out of frame. So I just double checked everything just now to make sure I'm in frame. So that video was on the topic of death. Our forefathers, every single one of them had to deal with death on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. It was just a part of life. But for some reason today, we've become so desensitized that and that we're supposed to live forever. Somehow or another, that message has come across in all forms of media, movies, that we're going to live forever, and that's just not the case. So because it's become so taboo, we don't take steps ahead of time to financially plan for events like that, because we all think that we're going to live forever no matter what. We all know better than that. So I just want everybody that's taking a moment here, if you haven't already done so, please take the hard step to start thinking about who you're going to leave behind, and try to plan for and be financially responsible so that they don't have to do it. Because one of the things that happened, my wife was called home July 23rd of this year. She caught the famous virus that's running around, and her biggest fear was to go into the hospital, be put on a ventilator, and then never come home. And that was exactly what happened. So also too, the reason why I'm making this video is everybody's grief is different. Please don't let anybody tell you how you should grieve. You grieve how you need to, and that's what's important. I have a lot of people telling me, be kind to yourself. Please, indeed, yes, be kind to yourself. There are going to be moments and days and weeks where you don't want to get out of bed, or you don't want to get up off the couch. So just be aware that might happen. If that does happen, make sure you have plenty of water, protein bars and things like that at hand, so that you can take care of yourself, that way, if you have to. Because I didn't want to cook, I didn't want to go anywhere, I didn't want to order food. I did a lot of not eating, and one good thing, not recommended, that did happen was that my stomach shrank. Before, I could eat so much food, all these big helpings that come in the restaurants these days, and I was able to eat it all. And now, because of not eating for so long, my stomach shrink. I eat about half of that, and I'm full. So, which is great, because then you can use the rest of it for supper or dinner, for what, for those of you that call it dinner. So I want to talk a little bit about loss as well. I mentioned that on the previous video. Loss is loss. Whether it's a goldfish for a 5-year-old, or a friend in high school, or as you start to get older, your grandparents, or maybe your parents, maybe a little bit later on down the road, you're going to end up, maybe your wife or your husband that you lose. God forbid it's a child, for those people who deal with that, where they do lose a child suddenly, whether to violence or a car accident or whatever the loss may be. My heart goes out to you. Loss is loss. Please, please, please do not, whatever you do, try to say somebody else's loss. Like, well, I lost my aunt, but that's nothing like what you're going through. Don't do that to somebody. Your loss to you, whether it's an aunt, uncle, cousin, you're experiencing some sort of a loss. So when you're dealing with that situation, our first instinct, our human instinct, is to say something to try and make that person feel better, or to say something like they're in heaven and they're looking down on you and they're cheering you on, and to try and reassure the person. It's don't do that. It doesn't work. Just say, I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm praying for you. I know you're having a hard time, and I'm lifting you up in prayer, and leave it at that. I've had so many people tell me some of the silliest things. They were trying to be nice. At that moment, I was like, you did not at all just help me. I didn't say that to them. I was gracious. You just smile and shake your head. But whatever you do, the best thing to do is really don't, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm praying for you. If there's anything I can do, whatever you stop right there at that. Don't try to make them feel better. Don't try to reassure them, because I'll guarantee you it's not helpful. Let's see what else. Oh yes, my table here. One of the things that I've done for 3.5 months now, and the reason why I'm getting up and starting to make some of these videos is because, like I said, everybody's grief is different. Standard grief share, which is absolutely fine. If you have a moment and you need to go through a grief share class, it will be helpful to go through a grief share. For me, I am done grieving as grieving. I'm not saying I'm not going to have sad moments or hard moments. Christmas is coming up, and it's going to be hard on me this Christmas. It was just my wife and I. We were down, we isolated ourselves down to just the two of us, and we had our Christmas routines. And this year I'm not going to have those Christmas routines. And Christmas is typically for family and sharing that moment and that time where we can be off and be together. And this Christmas is going to be a lot harder for me. So one of the things that I've done, because it's the end of the year, because the world does not stop when you want it to, whether you like it or not, the world keeps going, business keeps going, debtors still want their money. Things have to be done. So because I absolutely know beyond a shadow of a doubt that my wife was called home, her job here on this planet was done and finished, and God called her home. Trust me, that is not a bad thing. Everybody says that's such a bad thing, a hard thing to say, that God called her home. Why didn't he leave her here for me? Her job was done. Everybody's purpose, everybody has a reason and a purpose to be here on this planet, and her job was done. And so he called her home, and now it's up to me to do the financial things that I spoke of at the beginning of this video. One of the things that I should have already done is call FEMA. It's a call to FEMA for burial assistance. Her death certificate does say COVID, even though it was not COVID. She was getting better from COVID until she got MRSA, which is a very common, ever present in the hospital. It's a common staph infection that happens in hospitals. And that was really her last 2 days. She was trying to fight off MRSA, and she just couldn't. She didn't have the energy. So I'm going to get a foot plaque where she is buried is a God thing, because her parents, when they bought their grave plots so long ago, her dad passed away in 1986 from prostate cancer, and her mom just passed away this June 13th of this year. I was afraid that because it's an older part of the Memorial Park Cemetery, if you feel better with that term. Because it's an older part of the cemetery, I was afraid they wouldn't have any spots left open and that she would be out in the back 40 about a mile away. And it just so happened that they had one spot left and it's about 25 to 30 feet from where her parents are buried. So I'm gonna take a look at this and see about getting her a foot plaque, memorial plaque, and call the FEMA, get that process rolling so I can get reimbursed for the burial fees. Because again, those financial things that I mentioned in the beginning of the video, they don't stop. And if you don't plan ahead of time for them, it is very possible to lose your house. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch over to a time-lapse video. I've got a lot of learning still to do. I want to see if I can figure out how to, when I edit this video, I'll cut out all those parts where I'm walking in and sitting down, and useless parts of the video really. And I want to see about tacking on a time-lapse video. I learned the last time I did a time-lapse that I worked for about an hour and 5 minutes, and because of the time-lapse option, it actually turned out to be about 25 seconds worth of video. Some of the YouTube creators that I've listed in my general description there have done time-lapse videos that have lasted 30, 40 minutes. So they worked for 3, 4, 5 hours, doing a time-lapse video, and I watched every second of them. I didn't personally think they were boring. I'm going to sit here and do a time-lapse of me going through the mail, cleaning this table off again. At one time I had this table absolutely clean, just with this runner and these apples, and I've piled junk on it again. So I'm gonna get down and do some work. I'm gonna shift over to a time-lapse, and God bless everyone, and thank you for watching this video. I know I'm brand new to YouTube and probably will never be one of the stars that create videos every single day or 2 or 3 times a week, but hopefully word of mouth will get this out to people who need it. But God bless y'all and have a great rest of your day. Getting old. Oh my goodness.